we're going to sell to a specific segment of people. And if you can do that and actually tailor something to that segment of people, then they're going to be interested in buying it, and you're going to be able to continue to repeat more sales because you know who to sell to. Most people just think that they're going to build this product or service, and then they're going to figure it out later who that customer is. And that's why 90% of startups and companies fail. All right, in this video, we're going to talk about the game-changing 3-step framework to actually be able to build $1 million business. If you don't know me, my name is Trenton Hughes, former co-founder of a couple different businesses that reach multi-millions in sales a year. One of them ended up being a 1,000-person company. Now I invest in small businesses with a firm called Unfounded Ventures. Just looking to help entrepreneurs in their journey and save you guys time, effort, and energy where maybe I've failed and stumbled along the way. So in this one, we're talking about this 3-step framework and process to be able to build an actual $1 million business. And done it a couple times, advised a number of different companies to be able to do it. And here's the thing, 90% of companies and startups fail. And so they're obviously thinking about it in the wrong way, right? If most companies are not actually succeeding, whereas 10% or somewhere around 9 or 10% are actually succeeding. And if we look at those companies that have succeeded, there's been frameworks that have worked for them. The number one thing that you have to understand, we're going to talk about the 3 steps, the 3-step framework. Number one is that you have to identify a specific customer that you're going to build for. So many people think that if I build the company, the customers are going to come, and that just doesn't happen. At the end of the day, you need to do sales. And the only way sales are going to happen is if you have a customer that you can reach out to, a very specific customer that you can get interested in that product or service. And so number one is to identify your ideal customer profile. Meaning we're not going to sell everything to everyone because then we're not really doing anything. We're going to sell to a specific segment of people. And if you can do that and actually tailor something to that segment of people, then they're going to be interested in buying it, and you're going to be able to continue to repeat more sales because you know who to sell to. Most people just think that they're going to build this product or service, and then they're going to figure it out later who that customer is. And that's why 90% of startups and companies fail. And so the number one is look at who is that ideal customer profile. Are you building it for a specific gender, a specific region, specific age, specific demographic, college education, income level? This is a specific type of person in a company. Who's the person that you're building this for? And then you have to understand what are their pain points, how much budget do they have, what would they be willing to pay for, and what would be a slam dunk offer that I could give to them where I could make sure that they would be happy and they'd be happy to pay for it at the same time. When you can figure out the answer to that question, that is when you have something on your hands. So that's step one, is identifying the customer and starting from the customer perspective instead of just building the company first and hoping you find customers. Once you have that identified, it's almost a slam dunk because you know that that specific type of customer is going to want to buy your product or service. Of course, you want to do interviews and try to ask people, if they're interested in how much they'd be willing to pay. That way you have validation from the market first. So step two is when you get into actually building it for them. And the key is that you need to make sure you're building it for them. When you try to build for everyone, it gets too crazy and you just can't actually give a good product or service. But when you build it for them and you take care of their problems, that's when something good happens. And so you want to build it in a way that gives them an offer that's too good to say no to. Usually it means you have to give them some sort of guarantee that, hey, if this doesn't work, I'm guaranteeing you X, Y, or Z. And this is where you start to build the company. So you build the product, build the company, and you look at it from a perspective of frameworks. Everything is frameworks. How do I have a system for building it? How do I have a system for executing? How do I have a system for getting paid, for marketing, for outreach? When you know who that specific customer is, you can do outreach tailored to them in ways that are going to be very unique and specific to them. You can also market to them because you know who to go market to. And the question to ask yourself is simply, where do these people hang out? And then in terms of building out playbooks, you can just record videos of yourself and then you start to transcribe them and you have them in documented format so that when you look to hire people, you can hire people on and they can then make sure that they watch those playback, those videos and look at the transcriptions, and then they can understand what are we doing here. The more that you document everything out, the better. But it all starts with building for that customer in mind. And when you actually build it for them, good things start to happen. The last piece to this is as you're building it and as you reach out to these specific people and as you market to them and as you onboard them and as you bring them on as customers, we need to make sure that we're getting their feedback. And that's going to be the key, is that we want to continue to make it better and better and better for them and for their specific type of person. And so that brings us to step 3, which is leveraging those customers. We can actually grow a great business by just leveraging our existing customers instead of always looking at how do I go get more sales or how do I go expand product offerings into different markets. That's actually going to be the quickest way to run yourself into the ground. The best way is to look at, can we get reviews from these people? Because when you get reviews, that's social proof, and social proof is how people buy. Number two is you get referrals. Word of mouth and people telling other people is actually one of the best ways to get other people in the door. And so you want to ask them, hey, do you have anyone that might be a good fit for this? Number three is upsells. Maybe there's something else you can offer them that's going to be specific for them and you can get them to come back. Number four is just renewals, making sure that they come back and buy again. And so all these different things, you're just leveraging them. You can also get case studies. And by getting case studies, you can then go outreach, and then you can go outreach to those same types of people and say, hey, for this customer, here's what I was able to do and the results I was able to give them. I think I can do it for you as well. Now you have case studies that you can go out and leverage in order to get more customers. And so at a certain point, it's number one, I've identified that customer and I'm going to build something for them. Number two, I know who that customer is, so then I'm going to build it and I'm going to market to them, I'm going to outreach to them, I'm going to get their feedback, and I'm going to make sure everything's systematized for them. Number three, now that they're a happy customer, I'm going to get their reviews, I'm going to ask for referrals, I'm going to ask for case studies, I'm going to ask for all these different things that I can leverage so that I can continue to grow it. And then when you start to get their feedback, that's when you can start adding other product offerings. But instead of looking at who else can I go sell to, why don't you just look at what else can I sell to them? And so that's when you look at like Coke, for instance. Coke ended up just knowing who their customer was, people that like Coke, but they offered other products as well. And so look at it from that perspective of use your existing customer base and just sell to them more. Give them more of what they're wanting. You already know who the customer is. Ask them what they want and build for them. So that's the three-step framework. Very inverse of what most people think about how to build, because they mostly think if I build it, people will hopefully just come and I'll figure out who the customers are later. This is a thoughtful way to actually build a company that can be game-changing in terms of revenue, growth, and customer satisfaction, which at the end of the day is how you get to revenue and growth. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on the framework. Any other ideas on videos, let me know. Appreciate it. Thanks.